Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakat, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders. I can't say that I'm not a part of GMS, but I give salutations to the apostles and elders of GMS who do rule well, and shalom to the rest, as well as the Akim out there, spread this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. And shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Alright, so I wanted to do a video on this subject that I found while looking at my TikTok. Which, by the way, not trying to promote my own TikTok, but just I might post videos on there as well. So for further edification sake, my TikTok is a month. But anyways, these these devils, they're basically about to come down with great wrath, and I'm about to show y'all something.
Have you guys heard of the Knights of the Golden Circle? So, I was approached today at the grocery store. This guy said, he complimented me on my veteran's hat. Not this hat, of course. And he said, we're going to have our run of this country again. And I was like, oh, yeah? What do you mean? He's like, we're going to have control of this country again. We have our people in the White House. Everything's getting lined up. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, look up Knights of the Golden Circle. Never heard of it. Very interested. So as soon as I got home, or actually in the car, I looked on my phone. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit. What's going on with our border, the Panama Canal. He mentioned it was in Project 2025. It's all lining up, folks. Let me know your thoughts. Is this what we're really headed towards? Bringing in more white racists, kicking out the brown people, a game show involving immigrants and the citizenship, militarizing our border. This is wow. Have you guys heard of them?
I looked into what dude was talking about, and basically, this is what the Knights of the Golden Circle was. Which basically is, apparently they still around. But the Knights of the Golden Circle was a secret society founded in 1854 by American George W. Bickley, the objective of which was to create a new country known as the Golden Circle, Spanish Círculo Dorado, where slavery would be legal. The country would have been centered in Havana. It would have, hold on, Akim. The fuck? Slakia, Akim. The country would have been centered in Havana, would have consisted of the southern United States. Hold on. Shit's basically Satan's trying to hinder. But the country would have consisted of the southern United States and a golden circle of territories in Mexico, which was to be divided into 25 new slave states, Central America, northern parts of South America, and Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and most other islands in the Caribbean, about 2,400 miles in diameter. The KJGC's proposal grew out of previous unsuccessful proposals to annex Cuba, Austin Manifesto, which there's like a basically Esau tried to take over Cuba. Esau Edom being the self-proclaimed so-called white man, specifically speaking of the American so-called white man here. Parts of Central America, filibuster war, and all of Mexico moved. In Cuba, the issue was complicated by the desire of many in the colony for independence from Spain. Mexico and Central America had no interest in being part of the United States. Initially, the KGC advocated that the United States should annex the new territories to increase the number of slavery states vastly and thus the power of slaveholders. In response to the increased anti-slavery agitation that followed the Dred Scott decision, 1857, the Knights changed their position. The southern United States should succeed, forming their own confederation, and then invade and annex the other areas of the Golden Circle. The proposed new country's northern border would roughly coincide with the Mason-Dixon line, and within it were included such cities as Washington, D.C., St. Louis, Mexico City, and Panama City. In either case, the goal was to increase enslavers' political and economic power irreversibly. During the American Civil War, Southern sympathizers in the United States, especially that northern United States, such as in Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, and Iowa, were organized to a radical paramilitary splinter group of KGC, which that could be them, which was renamed in a deliberate reference to the American Revolution, the quote-unquote Order of the Sons of Liberty. In some cases, such as that of Lambton P. Milligan, Sons of Liberty members were imprisoned, deported, or even court-martialed and hanged for their activities. Among the many acts of guerrilla warfare attributed to the Sons of Liberty were the burning of the Walnut Ridge Friends Meeting House in Rush County, Indiana, and the Northwest Conspiracy, which plotted regime change uprisings aimed at forcibly bringing Iowa, Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana into the Confederacy. Although nominally secret societies, the existence of the Knights of the Golden Circle and the Order of the Sons of Liberty were never considered a secret. Alright, so I'm going to go down to this. The LA Times noted that one theory among many is, we say calling it a seed theory. You know how they do, man. On the origin of the Saddle Ridge hoard of gold coins is that it was cached by the KGC, which quote-unquote some believe buried millions in ill-gotten gold across a dozen states to finance a second civil war. And okay, so basically, oh shit, alleged members. See, you have George W. I'm reading it because I see a familiar name here. George W. L. Bigley, of course. John Wilkes Booth, the guy that supposedly assassinated, Lincoln, the dude that they said did it. Albert Pike, hey, that's a familiar name because Albert Pike was also a 33rd degree Freemason, and he's the author of the Albert Pike's 3 World Wars letter, which basically was given to him in a vision, basically from the spiritual demon Satan. Nathan Bedford Forrest, which I believe that dude was the founder of the Klan. He was the founder of the Klan. Yeah, he was a founding member, and the first Grand Wizard, which Albert Pike played a role in this as well. But he was a founding member and the first Grand Wizard of the post Civil War Reconstruction era Ku Klux Klan, serving from 1867 to 1869. So he was a Confederate general. But basically, these devils, man. This is one of the basically these secret societies that they formed, man. And and yeah, you got a few others in there, such as Sam Houston, which was the former president and governor of Texas. And you have others, but I wanted to focus on Albert Pike and Nathan Bedford Forrest. Because those are very familiar names. Especially you with Albert Pike. If you hey, that's basically Illuminati 101, man. If you know, basically, if you got the basic knowledge of the Illuminati, you know about Albert Pike. But seeing popular culture. In November 1950, the anthology radio drama Destination Freedom recapped the early history of the Knights in an episode entitled The Golden Circle. And there's other movies about them, but basically, Trump got these Edomites. Well, and they say Trump got these Edomites, supremacist Edomites, openly Edomite supremacist Edomites, thinking that they gonna take back, they gonna make it, they gonna basically make shit like it used to be before the 60s and shit, basically. And shit, they probably are still around, man, knowing these devils. But hey, the scriptures say that hold on. Their heart is deep, right? So they be planning shit out, man. It says that about the wicked, which we know that the wicked is, speaking of a nation of people, and it's referring to Esau, Edom. The border of wickedness, reference to Malachi chapter 1. But let me get it. Give me a second. I'm gonna look for that scripture. Their heart is deep. Yeah. Psalm 64:6. Hey, I'm gonna read it from verse 1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. Hear my voice, O Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and my prayer preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Verse 2, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. They got these secret counsels. From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Verse 3, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. Verse 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They're always, the perfect is speaking of Jake, man. Because when you look into that word plain, a brother brought it out. It actually, the Hebrew word there actually means perfect. Suddenly do they, because it says Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, right? When you look in the Hebrew word for plain, it actually means perfect. So, verse 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. They're always aiming at Jake, man. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Verse 5, they encourage themselves in an evil manner. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? You know, that's Esau Edom for you, man. What do they say? We got our people in that TikTok video. We got our people in place, man. Got all our people in place to do what we want to do, man. Verse 6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. So these people be searching out iniquities. Iniquity means sin upon sin. They search that out, man. This is how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it basically so that we won't get caught. We gonna do it and it's gonna work. Basically. Even though at the same time they let you know revelation of the method, but they're like, the people are too dumb to figure it out. Basically. So they ain't too worried. But they put it in cartoons, they put it in basically they put it in movies and shit. It's called predictive programming or revelation of the method. But because in the rules they gotta do it before they do it. But verse 6, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward, diligent mean like you really like dedicated to doing it. But actually show that dedication, man. Both the inward thought, so they're dedicated to searching out iniquities. Both the inward thought of every one of them in the heart is deep, and something else. If you think about it, this could be like their updated plan. We just gonna like use the U.S. We gonna, instead of like succeeding like before, we gonna use the U.S. to get that shit done. Basically, come back for our last hurrah and shit. This is if you think about it, that could be Esau's plan. The elites put these people back because they're like a lower luminary secret society. So basically, the elites put these them back in power. Could be, man. Could be. And Trump has tried to. I'm gonna bring up articles on that because Trump, basically the U.S. trying to put troops in Mexico because Trump has tried to, so-called, to fight the drug cartels, man. But and in that plan that the Golden Knights of the Golden Circle had, it showed basically them running Mexico, man, from the U.S. Except it showed it like the Confederate States doing it, but you know, same concept. Basically, when you look at it, it's like the same concept. But basically, the American so-called white man running Mexico, running Panama. Hey, what hey, these devils is trying to seize back control of the Panama Canal, right? What are the chances? We having problems with who? Um Venezuelan, so-called Venezuelan, because really these are bywords for the people that actually live there, which Venezuelans, the so-called Venezuelans, would be of basically the tribe of Asher, because that's basically the inhabitants of South America from the natives, I would say, and the descendants of those natives from Colombia all the way down to Uruguay. That's mainly Asher, where Asher dwelt, where Asher came whenever the 10 tribes came to our earth, which is the Americas, which Second Ezra chapter 13, 39 to 46 goes into that. But anyways, the U.S. is having problems with Venezuelan migrants, right? Right? Like, so you see that included those areas when you look at the plan that they had. Hold on. When you look at the plan that these devils had, hold on. Hey, when they do this. But when you look at the plan that they had, to create a country known as the Golden Circle, it includes the southern U.S., it includes Cuba, it includes basically the Caribbean countries, it includes that area, it includes Mexico, like I said, it includes Central America, and it includes parts of Colombia and Venezuela. And so an updated version of that plan, they mean basically like it's to take the resources of these areas, man. Basically. But basically, going back to what the scriptures I was bringing out. Yeah, both the verse 6, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Verse 7, but the Most High Power Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded. Verse 8, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Basically, that's basically what that dude was bringing out, is basically them telling on themselves, man. Their plan, basically for what? For to restore, basically to make it like it was in Esau's good old days, when it was open Edomite supremacy. They didn't have to hide Edomite supremacy and shit. Like their feelings about Edomite supremacy. They didn't have to hide that shit, man. They could be openly, racist, right? So basically they believe they're going to achieve their plan. So what? They're proud. So that's how the Most High Power Yahweh is getting these people to tell on themselves, man. Verse 9, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High Power Yahweh, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. But basically that's what we're doing. or wisely considering considering what he's doing. But basically, in the righteous is, Jake, especially on this side, the elect. Because you have the wicked of our people, which is 2/3, which fall after the ways of Esau and the heathens. And then you have the elect, who the elect, we fuck up, but we trying to get right. Basically, we trying to, we trying to we trying to get right. That's what we trying to do. Versus the 2/3 fuck up and they don't give a fuck. They continue to fuck up, without giving a fuck. The righteous man, fall 7 times, right? A complete amount of times. Let me get that. Just to address that point real quick. But then I'm getting back on the point that I'm going into. These devils come down with great wrath. That's what they're doing. The righteous get back up, man. Fall 7 times. 7 times scripture. Let me get that. It's Proverbs 24:16. For a just man, basically. See, Satan is Satan on my ass. This shit said it's not available for some reason. I'll just get it on the app. Don't worry about it. But yeah, Satan on my ass today. But let me get Proverbs 24:16. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. That's the difference. 7 means a complete amount of times, and riseth up again. But the wicked shall fall into mischief. But that's addressing that point. But that kind of reminds me, going back on the subject that I was talking about before the subject of this video, that reminds me of also Malachi 1 and 3 and 4 actually. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. They long for them days when they used to basically get away with shit and no one was questioning them, and they would do it openly. Thus say, build a desolate place. That's their glory days. Basically. That's how this fits into it. Thus say the Most High Power Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai hath indignation forever. So basically, these devils, they trying to build that basically modern day version of what I was bringing out is that New World Order, man. Basically, that's what they want to bring about. Basically, Esau wants to be able to get away with murder, basically. To where, you can't. Hey, Cain wants to get away with murder. To where they're not, because the Edomites, they're the descendants of Cain reincarnated, because Esau's Cain reincarnated, man of the, Cain was what? Esau's a man of the field, and Cain was, when you look into it, I gotta stop bringing up all these side points. Slack it for that. Cain was a tiller of the ground, a farmer, which is they're out there in the field and Verse 3, and in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground offering unto the Most High Power Yahweh. Basically, Esau's Cain come back, and his name literally means weapon too. But which, and Esau was blessed with the sword. When you look into the Hebrew word for Cain, it means weapon. But what Cain do? He killed Abel, murdered Abel. Which Abel, if you can receive it, that was Jacob, in his past life. But and that's real, if you can receive it. If you can receive it, if it's given, well, is it real? But like, I just say if you can receive it, because hopefully you can receive it. Well, if you of the elect, you can receive that. But let me focus on the subject at hand. But basically, Esau is trying to go back to their glory days, man. But this is the Most High Power Yahweh's answer to that. Thus said Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. And the people against whom Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai hath indignation forever. Because it don't matter, because their New World Order is gonna be when they achieve what the Most High Yahweh is gonna allow them to achieve. Basically, the Most High Power Yahweh is gonna basically put a stop to it right then and there. And there's a scripture that actually goes into that. Let me get it. Yeah. Because that's when that War of Armageddon, aka World War III, is gonna get turned up, and these nukes are gonna fly. And that's how this place is prophesied to be destroyed. That's how this place is gonna be turned into the lake of fire. This place, I'm speaking of the U.S., which is, it's known in the scriptures as Babylon the Great. But Job 20 and verse 22, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. It says every hand of the wicked, but when you look in the Hebrew, the word there is for laborer. So it's every hand of the laborer shall come upon him. Verse 23, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High Power Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him when he is eating. When he's about to fill his belly. Like right when these devils think they got it in the bag, the Most High Yahweh is going to hit him with that uppercut, man. That uppercut sucker punch, man. Basically. Right when they think they got it. But, these devils, they're basically planning to go all out on you tribes, man. Basically, Jacob's trouble is coming. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. These devils know that they have but a short time, so they about to go all out, man. No limits. They about to go all out on you tribes, man. They've been showing their horns. They about to show their teeth and use them. Verse 13, and when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. The woman, it represents you Israelites, man. Represents you Israelites, which today are mainly you so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans, but also scattered among the other nations. And we know also I'm gonna read 17, verse 17, because it shows that the real target is the elect. Verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High Power Yahweh, and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. Which Yahweh Shai, well, that's basics. Yahweh Shai is the real name of whom the world ignorantly knows. I just say by the initials of JC. But yeah. Yeah, this devil is about to go all out on you tribes, man. He's about to let y'all have it. That time of Jacob's trouble, it's at the door. And let me get that. Jeremiah 30 and verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And let me get Matthew 24 and let me get, because basically we gonna have to be on the move in these days, man. But it was speaking of 70 AD, but also Jacob's trouble, when both the houses of Judah and the northern kingdom, the house of Israel, would be oppressed, man, like to the max. Verse 20. Hey, y'all thought that what our people have gone through in Babylon so far was bad. Hey, Jacob's trouble is gonna make that look like a walk in the park, basically. Hey, a time like no other. Verse 20. But pray ye that your flight is judgment on 2/3. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. That's how, really, it's speaking of Jacob's trouble. No, ever shall be. Verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. For the elect's sake, because basically judgment on the 2/3. And let me get and the brother had brought out how Joe Biden to gather all the 2/3 that he wanted, in Babylon to be destroyed. Specifically from the northern kingdom, a lot of so-called a lot of the migrants, of course, were so-called Latino. And then during Trump administration, they bring in those Edomites from South Africa over here, and those Edomites. So now the wicked, basically the amount of the wicked that's gonna be destroyed in Babylon is being brought over here, which that would be Esau, Edom. But yeah, basically what's going on, because Trump is bringing in those Edomite, so-called white South Africans over here as refugees, as migrants. But basically, you know, Jacob's trouble is close. Which means if Jacob's trouble and all that's supposed to happen, including the mark of the beast being implemented, if that's close, then Armageddon, World War III is also close. Armageddon and World War III going nuclear. The third woe going nuclear is also close. So the destruction of this place is also close, and and that means the deliverance of the elect is also close. So yeah, we're almost out of here. This basically confirms that as well. The information that I brought out. But yeah, I had to go in on this Knights of the Golden Circle because basically y'all seen that TikTok video. Basically these devils is about to come down with great wrath. They about to go all out, man. They try to make MAGA happen. But with that, I hope this video was edifying. But let me get it. And how that fits into that whole their vision that they had. They already got troops at the border. Trump's military buildup at the border expands. Yeah, Trump confirms he offered to send U.S. troops to Mexico to help with cartels, and of course it's gonna start like that, and then they say the problem is too much. We gotta intervene. That's the way that they can make that happen. But yeah, U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday confirmed. There's an article from the 4th. Confirmed May the 4th. But anyways, U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday confirmed he had offered to send U.S. troops to Mexico to help Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum combat drug trafficking. An offer Sheinbaum disclosed on Saturday and said she had refused. Trump speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One as he returned to Washington from Florida said he had made the offer because the drug cartels were quote-unquote horrible people who had caused thousands of deaths. He said Mexico wanted help with the cartels. Let me get that last part actually. Bring out some scriptures on that. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, I would be honored to go in and do it. And let me get basically there's some scriptures that go into that. Excuse me, my bad. But let me get that. It's in verse 17, verse 16. I'm gonna start there. to verse 18. Verse 16, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Verse 17, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Verse 18, he will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Basically, it ain't really about the cartels. I believe Mexico, they got didn't they nationalize their oil? Let me get that. It's about the resources. Oh, lithium, also that. Mexico moved back in 2023, ordered the ministry to step up lithium nationalization. You see this article. Okay, Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador on Saturday signed a decree handing over responsibility for lithium reserves to the Energy Ministry after nationalizing lithium deposits last April. During an event in Sonora, Lopez Obrador signed a decree that orders the Energy Ministry, quote unquote, to take the actions necessary to carry out, quote unquote, the nationalization process. It also declares 234,855 hectares, which is 907 square miles, in Sonora as a mining zone known as LIMX-1. Let's make the nation be the owner of this strategic mineral, quote unquote, Lopez Obrador said during the event. Mexico holds important potential lithium deposits, a highly sought material for the production of electric vehicle batteries. And you know that's lithium is important. You know who's a part of the Trump administration? Got Elon Musk up there. And also, I'm pretty sure I've brought this out before, but with the Neuralink, basically lithium is key in that Neuralink, basically that Neuralink shit. I've brought it out before, but it's a while back. And so basically they need to have control of those resources so they can have access to those resources as much as possible, to chip as much people as possible to basically, yeah, it has to do with MOTB and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, man. Basically, it ain't got nothing to do with stopping drug cartels. Yeah, Mexico holds important potential lithium deposits, a highly sought material for the production of electric vehicle batteries. Studies suggest Mexico may have some 1.7 million tons of lithium, while close to a dozen foreign companies have active mining concessions that aim to develop potential lithium deposits. Lopez Obrador said that all of them will be reviewed, quote unquote, which has cast a cloud over the sector's future prospects. Quote unquote, what we're doing now is to nationalize. Man, what the fuck? Hold on. What we are doing now is to nationalize lithium so that it cannot be exploited by foreigners from Russia, China, or the U.S., quote unquote, Lopez Obrador said at the event. Last week, the chief executive of the state run company for lithium production, Pablo Today, told, yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced, told Reuters, my bad, that Mexico was open to partnerships, but that the federal government would have a majority stake in any future joint venture. And you know that basically these devils, they don't like that because they want to have control. Basically these specifically what I'm speaking of is these corporations, these Wall Street 1% corporations. You know, the basically the and then the elites above them, they want to have control of the resources like lithium. And basically these devils is greedy too. They want all of it. But let me get Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is his death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6, shall not these take up a parable against them? And basically the whole point is he basically can't be satisfied. He's as hell in his death and can't be satisfied. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against them, and a taunting proverb against them, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, which is talking about debt. But basically, Esau, Edom, it's what they do, you know, because they gotta have it all. Basically, can't be satisfied. So that's why, that's the real reason. And then I believe they nationalized their oil too. So that's that. Besides that golden circle shit, also the corporations are gonna have their slice of the pie, you know, basically. But let me look that up, because I believe they also nationalized their oil basically as well. But lithium is worth more, basically, when you look into it. And EVs, that's where they're going. So it's both lithium and oil. That's an incentive for them to do that. But basically a good reason for them to do that. But yeah, Mexico been nationalized their oil since 1938. But now they did the same shit with lithium, basically. Yeah, they been had it nationalized. They all. Yeah, and the U.S. urged Mexico to open up lithium production to private sector, basically, so that these Wall Street corporations, you know, they can cash in. But U.S. urges Mexico to open lithium production. Oh yeah, just the private sector back in 2023, because they was in the process of nationalizing lithium. But basically, yeah, Mexico's nationalization of lithium production is just one hurdle to the exploitation of its deposits. The other, the technology to extract it from the clay of the Sonora Desert, doesn't exist yet. But basically, this is an article that is going into how. Yeah, let me read it though. Got it open. I'm gonna read it. But basically, Mexico must open. It says Mexico must open up lithium exploitation to the private sector in order to make the critical mineral cheaper, according to U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Western Hemisphere Affairs, Brian Nichols. "Quote unquote, I understand that according to Mexican law, the state has exclusive rights to exploit lithium, but you all will need the private sector in order to bring it to market," quote unquote. He said in an interview with the Mexican news outlet Millennial. So basically, they didn't approve of this move by Mexico. "Quote unquote, we're working together collectively to explore the critical minerals that we have in North America, which are going to supply the next generation of batteries," quote unquote. He said, quote unquote, "this is a great opportunity for Mexico to form an integral part of a regional high-tech structure." Nichols added that acquiring the technologies necessary to reduce the cost of the mineral will also contribute to making the country. Basically, they try to convince them to to privatize it instead of nationalize it, basically, or open it up to private companies. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. But I'm gonna keep reading. Nichols added that acquiring the technologies necessary to reduce the cost of the mineral will also contribute to making the country a competitive player in the global lithium market. The State Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. A necessary component in rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles, cell phones, and other high-tech devices, lithium has been called, quote unquote, the white gold of the 21st century by industry players. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador has nationalized lithium rights in the country. He announced Monday that the first concessions to a state-owned company would be awarded in February. The president created the nationalized Litio MX in August of last year. Gonzalo Monroy, managing director at the energy consultancy GMEC, called this move a major roadblock, quote unquote, to the development of the lithium industry in Mexico. So they did not approve of that move, basically. While the lion's share of the world's at the lithium deposits, over 51 million metric tons, are in South America. Slovakia for that. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, North America comes in second among other continents with 13.7 million metric tons, 9.1 million in the U.S., 2.9 in Canada, and 1.7 in Mexico. But just cause the country has a relatively small amount of the mineral doesn't mean it should let the opportunity to streamline this production with its North American partners pass it by. So basically they said, even though it's not that much compared to other regions, yeah, we still want that. Quote unquote, it makes sense for Mexico to develop its lithium industry mostly because of the geological importance and again location, quote unquote. Monroy said, "It's much better to have everything integrated into one single region, in this case North America." instead depending on other places like Australia or Chile, even as far away as Africa for raw materials, quote unquote. And also, also when you look at it, and also another plan that they got, the North American Union, they want to have everything integrated into one single region, in this case North America. So it goes into that as well. But basically they want control of those resources, even though Mexico, they ain't got as much as other regions. They still want them to basically give it up to them, because Esau is greedy. But anyways, basically I brought this out to show basically also another motive for doing this. Basically they want control of the resources. It ain't got nothing to do with those drug cartels, which was set up by Esau anyways. When you look into it, like for example, when you look into the Zetas, they were basically, when you look into it, they was former Mexican Marines that was trained by the U.S., man. So basically, when you look into these cartels, they were set up by Esau, to basically facilitate the, basically to facilitate, make it easier, that's what I mean. They, to take control of the drug trade, basically. Because these groups, just like these so-called terrorist groups, these you know what I'm saying, like Al Qaeda, was really looking into it. They was set up by Esau, which is why I call them Al Qaeda, because they was set up by Esau. It was literally set up by them, by the CIA, by the U.S. intelligence agencies, which that would include the CIA. So it's just like that. They was set up as well, and also as a reason, for to intervene militarily, just like those terrorist groups was set up as a reason to intervene militarily, but also to be use them as proxies as well. Basically, which a proxy is like an army that you control, but not officially, basically. But basically they did not approve of that move by Mexico, and so that's another motive for these devils to basically bring to basically free this shit out of Mexico. They about to bring democracy to Mexico. Gotta help them. Cause if basically the U.S. is known for when they find some precious resources, and basically they can't get control of those resources. The U.S. is known for trying to overthrow that government and shit, and seize control. And then they'll justify it on the news, whether it's like bringing democracy, trying to free these people from this evil dictator or whatever, or we gotta stop terrorism, or in this case, drug cartels. Is basically they're trying to seize control of the resources. That's what they're trying to do. And also Mexico was considering joining BRICS, another motive. I heard about it way back. Not too long ago though. Mexico considering joining BRICS. Is Mexico considering joining BRICS? They was like, basically they was like thinking about it. Basically, they was considering doing it. But on top of nationalizing lithium, I guess they changed their mind. But on top of nationalizing lithium, and they've been had oil nationalized, they excuse me, they also, you know, was thinking about joining BRICS. So that's a motive. That's a motive for that's a motive for those are motives for the US to basically intervene militarily to so-called stop the drug cartels. No, really, they trying to seize control of resources, valuable resources like lithium and oil. No, it is. Salakia. But with that, I hope this video was edifying. I hope this video was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Salutations to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And to the brothers out there spreading this truth like wildfire. And shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Abba Babal, death to Babylon. Abad la Adwamium, death to these Edomites. Abad la Gawayim, death to these other nations. Abad la Ayabyam Nawa, death to the rest, death to our enemies, which all this is going to be brought by the Most High Power Yahweh. He's going to make it happen. Shalom, stay strong. Abba Babal. Wah. Yasharallah forever. We almost out of here. Israelites got next and forever. Shalom.